You are live. Welcome to the Master Your Mindset podcast. I have a wonderful guest here today, which I'm going to talk to you a bit about in a moment. I'm going to have some questions for her as well. But right now, I just want you to know that the more subscribers I get on my YouTube channel, so if you want to go to YouTube after this live broadcast and subscribe to my channel, that way you'll get notifications because I'm talking to some really amazing people here. And our discussions are around mindset, not only for your business. Maybe you're a leader, maybe you need some life, maybe your business is an entrepreneur. So tune in. That would really help me because the more subscribers we get, the more I can get this information out to people. It's all about neuroscience, the psychology, and how to change those habits. So welcome to the podcast today. And so today we are going to be talking about mindset and making those authentic connections. I know everybody's probably tired about hearing about authenticity, but it's really important. Today, that's what we're going to talk about, the authenticity. And I have a wonderful, wonderful person here, Christine Fernandez, who I've known, gosh, way before pandemic, but I don't think we really connected personally and professionally until about 2 years ago when she shifted her networking group, and she'll probably talk about that as well today. She's a passionate entrepreneur, and she's the founder of the Professional Women's Network. She's really wants to empower women and showing them how to make those strong connections because it's really about connections, right? Christine's going to talk about that. So welcome, Christine.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. Is there anything that you want to add that I may have left out that you might want people to know? Like, for example, your work-life balance.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, like my journey, as an entrepreneur has been really, as you said, intertwined with my passion for empowering women in business and just creating that nurturing environment for their professional growth. But at the same time, I'm deeply committed to work-life balance. And, I embody that every day as being the CEO, the mentor, the mother, the spouse, all of those roles. We got to create those boundaries for ourselves. And sometimes you got to say no to things that don't exactly align to your values. And, all those experiences have really shaped me in, not just me, but also, the core values that go with my business, Professional Women's Meetup. And so, yeah, I guess, did that answer the question?
It did. That's what I was looking for. That's amazing. And that's why you made that shift because now you can, that's what entrepreneurs really look for is that life balance, right? You don't have to work 50, like I hear entrepreneurs working out, 50, 60 hours a week. They're missing out on so many other things that would make their life enriched. And then they get burned out. So I'm really glad that you mentioned it. Yeah. And outside of work, and I know because I see your posts all the time, your boys are your treasures. And of course, your hubby. I'm so grateful that you have such a loving and supportive hubby. And just tell our listeners, just so they get to know the Christine kind of behind the scenes. What is one thing that you guys have done lately, maybe that made you laugh?
Yeah, so actually we had a recent moment, and our house is always filled with laughter, but thanks to my 7-year-old, he's got like this new appreciation for my sense of humor. And just the other night, we were sitting at the dinner table when I decided to share one of my classic sarcastic jokes. And, I was just expecting the usual eye rolls, but then I was so surprised to see my 7-year-old just like bursting into laughter, like genuinely finding it funny. And so it just started making us all laugh together at the table, including my husband, who usually doesn't really, or I don't know if he pretends not to enjoy my jokes as much, but it's just a great reminder that humor really connects us on another level. And it's about enjoying those simple moments in our lives and sharing that laughter with my boys and seeing them especially starting to understand my sense of humor is one of my greatest joys.
Oh, yeah. Laughter is definitely, you know what? And those are the moments that kids are really gonna remember, right? Those moments that
Mhm.
you made them laugh, especially when they comes from that belly. So really
It's
good. Yeah.
funny, yeah,
We
like, I love that my 7-year-old, like, gets me now on that level. It's just it's great.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful thing that as they grow, you can grow and show more and more and more of yourself as well because they'll understand it. So that's just great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, we have to get down to a little bit of business now.
Sure.
And we know that I know myself that networking is one of the tools that I use the most in terms of getting business. And I found it really difficult to be authentic. I think I've come a long way since in the last couple of years with that. But
Mhm.
in terms of that's something that you like to stress with your group. It's
Yes.
that power of authenticity. What is something that one thing, or what is the most important ingredients, or maybe you have a few ingredients that you can tell our listeners that they should be aware of when it comes to being authentic in a networking session?
I love that question. Thank you so much. It's you know what? I think the number one thing is to be genuinely interested in the people that you meet. And it's about focusing on building those relationships rather than just, throwing a business card in someone's face. It's really it goes back to that authenticity, right? That really fosters trust, and we're going to get into this. I know we're going to get into the trust factor, but it's really about showing that authentic self that brings consistency in your interactions with people. And the more consistent you are, the more you're going to foster that trust, and people are going to start opening up to you more. They're going to start sharing with you, and it's just a great foundation for trust in the end.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that I found that I had difficulty with was, especially during COVID, it started then, but I didn't really start working on it till about a couple of years ago, is that as soon as you get on that Zoom, it's like it's like I kind of like freeze. It's like fight, like that stress because am I presenting my like I'm worried about all these things. Am I presenting myself? Am I coming across? Do people understand what I'm saying? Da 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 da. Da. So what I noticed was I was really focusing on me and how I was feeling. And so that kind of destroyed that ability to be authentic with other people. And it's really what I learned that if I can change that and shift that mindset to being authentic, is just being me. Like, what do I enjoy doing? I really just like to have conversations with people, you know?
Yep.
Like, not
Yep.
worry about a script, you know, and
Mhm.
not worry about, am I saying I help so that, yeah, don't worry about it. Just kind of, you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for a long time. So just whatever comes to you, whatever download you get, whatever you take a nice deep breath, relax, and whatever comes to you, comes to you. That's what the people want to hear. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It definitely, like I said, it lowers people's guards when you do showcase your true self, and without having to, you don't have to put on a face or anything. It's just be you, and you'll attract those people on that deeper, more meaningful level.
Yeah, and that's that mask, that face we put on is, because we're so concerned and worried about, "You're fine." So that's what I used to tell
Yeah.
myself, "You're fine. Just go do it," you know? And
Yep.
so being authentic, that's what I've learned, is, now I'm getting more and more, like, connection calls because I'm more authentic. I'm more myself. I just wanna have a conversation. I really wanna understand what it is that they do and how I can help them. I'm not looking to sell them, I'm looking to see how I can help them. So That's, I think. So do you think that that is one way to help foster trust, or is there other ways that you can tell our listeners what would foster the authenticity and trust?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's by being authentic that people are going to be more likely to trust you because they feel confident in what they see is what they get. And it's also very crucial in forming those long-term relationships with people, leaving, an impact on people as well. You don't even realize it, but um, you could just make an impact on someone at a networking event without even knowing it, just by being yourself. And, it's just really important to foster those interactions in that authentic way. And also, it allows you to be more consistent with people because if you're putting on a face at a networking event and then they see you in a different setting and you're like a completely different person, that's not consistent, right? So it's about strengthening those bonds over time and really making those relationships last a long time.
Exactly. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And oftentimes, I know myself that I may have come across inauthentic, right? Because I'm more worried about myself rather than a being of service. And
Mhm.
so, what would you say is the biggest that you've noticed that you can tell the difference when someone's being inauthentic or when someone's being authentic? And what would you say to people so that they could change that and become more authentic?
Absolutely. So I just think that, relationships take time. Trust takes time. Everything takes time. And in order to have that consistency and the depth in those relationships. So I just think consistent interactions over time. So keep showing up to those networking events. The more times you go, the more people are going to see you. They're going to see, oh, wow, this person's there again. And they're consistent. They're the same, as the last time I saw them. And just going beyond those surface level conversations. They may seem surface level at the beginning when you have that, dreaded small talk with people that you're just meeting for the first time. But it's when you show that genuine interest, it's when it goes to the next level because it's being interested in the other person's growth and the other person's success and how can I help you and how can I be of service?
Yeah. So being of service, I would say is a mindset shift, really. Um,
Mhm.
and more of a positive and more authentic. And so what else would you recommend, or how do you recommend that people set that up for themselves when they attend? Yeah, you're right about the small talk. I think that's just kind of like an icebreaker, to kind of break the ice and get the the voice and the juices flowing there. So that's okay. But then don't do it for too long, I would recommend. And then move on
Right.
to right. And then move. So how would you get people to set up their mindset so that they have that service sort of attitude when they're walking in or doing it on Zoom?
Yeah, so I think in terms of mindset and attending networking events, I think it's really important to come in with a mindset of being curious and just open
Mm,
and approaching, with the intention of learning about others, understanding what they need, and also how can you be of value, right? And just being your authentic self in the process. And it's just not about, I think some people it's about like what am I going to get from this? And but it's also about what can you contribute, right? What can you give? And so that mindset shift absolutely changes it from being a transactional relationship to actually building a meaningful relationship.
exactly. And just because someone's not your ideal client doesn't mean you can't build a relationship, because you never know who their friends are or who because if me, I go to about 3 different networking groups. So if you
Mhm.
don't maybe there's someone in another networking group I can refer to, Toronto professional women, that I know someone in this group, right? You just never
Yes.
know. And there's this one time I remember, how we have quick meetings one-on-one just to get to know each other and see how, what's going on with the person in their business and how can you help them and who their ideal client is and how you might be able to. And sometimes, that it just doesn't come up for me. Sometimes, I may not think about a referral till months later down the line. Now, what
Mhm.
happened with this one lady, we had about 2 meetings, maybe 3, including the breakout room and then connection call. And I
Yeah.
remember the 3rd time she said to me, I said, "Well, how who can just remind me, like, what is your best, like, who should I be looking for?" She goes, "You've already had this conversation 2, 3 times." And I'm like,
Oh,
"You should."
wow.
Yeah. It's like, "We've already met, like, you should be referring people to me." And I kinda went, "Okay, well, I'm
Uh-oh.
crossing you off my list. Really, I'm serious. You should." I'm like, I'm crossing her off my list. And
Yeah.
she doesn't know. I have friends that are, aging population, so they have kids that are, in their 20s and 30s looking for insurance or wealth management, right? They're at that age now where they're starting. She just crossed herself off my list. So that's the biggest, because she's obviously looking for transactional and
Yeah.
um, not
I
a
think that's the
relationship,
biggest mistake, and also
right?
I feel like the biggest challenge that people face in actually shifting their mindset is the going from transactional to relational.
Yeah, and I think the best, idea that you just gave people that I really liked was the curiosity, right? It's
Mhm.
kinda like, I love that. It's kinda like, you remember when we were kids and we were kind of like in that awe and wonder of life? Like, we just approached life like every day the same tree was just a new tree. It wasn't the same tree, right? And as we get adults, it's like, "Oh, it's just a tree." Right? But when we're kids, we go, "Oh, there's that tree again. Look at it. Oh my gosh, it's got new branches, right? It's that
Mhm.
curiosity, that awe and
Yeah.
wonder that I love that. You're so right
Yeah.
about that. I think that might help people if they just take that one little and start becoming more curious about the other
Yeah.
person. I love that. So thank you for bringing that up. And I guess
Yeah,
that falls.
absolutely.
Yes, and I think that kind of brings up some other things. Like, I find myself too, sometimes I get ghosted, or I'll
Mm,
follow up with people and then they don't respond to my follow-up. And
mhm.
I know I should be more open in my mindset about, well, maybe they're busy and they couldn't respond. So then I'll send another email and then they ignore that one. Well, at that point, unfortunately, I do drop them off my list because
Mhm.
I've taken the time to follow up with you. I'm really
Yeah.
being of service to help
Mhm.
you, and you're not even hitting reply. I get, once I've met with someone, I said, "Oh, can we follow up with each other maybe in a month, see how things." What's the best way to follow up? Oh, I said, maybe email. We can do a quick text to each other in case, I see someone, I can ask you some questions about referring. Oh, no, no, I don't like phone, just email. And I'm emailing, but they're not getting back to me, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and that's getting very frustrating for me. So how would you recommend for people like myself or other people in general as well who feel they may be getting ghosted, or they follow up with people but people aren't responding back?
Yeah, you really touched on a very real challenge in networking. And I think a lot of people are actually afraid to come to a networking event to begin with. And for the first time, it's just such a big thing. And sometimes it's such a barrier that it even actually holds them back from even attending them. And so I think it's just stems from a deep seated concern of not being accepted by others. There's the imposter syndrome that, can often paralyze you. And so, the idea or the belief that you're not good enough or that, you just don't belong. I know for myself, growing up, and what made me start Professional Women's Meetup was that I always felt like I didn't belong because I actually grew up in a French community and I spoke English at home. So I almost failed kindergarten because I didn't speak French. So the moment they told me I needed to speak French, I just flipped the switch and I did. But it really goes way back to your childhood,
Yes.
and really makes you who you are today. But it doesn't mean you can't overcome that. And I think another factor is just a lack of confidence in one's value proposition. Now we're talking about business. I think many people struggle in understanding how they can be of service to others, and then oftentimes it makes them hesitant to reach out, and they might worry that maybe their offer isn't valuable, or it might be, perceived in a way that they don't want it to be perceived. And so it just makes them feel stuck. And also, like we talked about earlier, I just think that there's really a misunderstanding of what networking is truly about. Some just see it as purely transactional, and don't really truly understand that it's also, about the relational aspect, building relationships. And so, this will lead to a mindset where people aren't often clear, and they just don't see the value in actually connecting with new people. So I think it's really important to overcome those barriers, and it's crucial to, and that's why I create this supportive environment so that we can come together, we can take that risk and take that jump, and start building those relationships. And I think it really also helps to hear success stories of connections that started out from just going to a networking event. It's like meeting that one person that could just change everything in your business or your life. And so I'm really passionate about providing those tools and strategies to help women in business really just understand the benefits of networking, and to empower them to initiate more with confidence.
Yeah, and you do that because I've seen you grow, and especially grow the group and grow how you are helping women in those areas and empowerment. It is unique. It's very
Thank you.
different.
Yeah.
It's more personal. Like your approach is more personal. That's what I love
Yeah.
about it. And I see
Thank
you
you.
because I was on your office hours the other day. You really
Yeah.
light up when you're helping people, right? And
Thank you.
so that's the unique thing is, and it's true. Like people are maybe listening, and say, "Oh, it's another networking group." Oh, they just. It's not. It's
Yeah.
really. It's really unique. It's really It really is personal. Like your office hours, or you're there to help people. Like you were helping me with my LinkedIn in terms of creating a group and what I should be doing to
Mhm.
maximize my visibility. And then you have your masterminds where people can
Yeah.
come, right? That would be a perfect opportunity if somebody is really shy and having these inner conflicts or barriers about not belonging or being rejected or whatever's going on, or thinking there's something wrong with them because they're not getting leads or whatever. I think the masterminds are where people can come and actually get ideas, even like say, hey, I want to practice my 30-second spiel, right? Or
Mhm.
I want it to become more authentic. Can you guys help me? And then they can give their message, right? And then everyone can give them input in terms of that's good, but maybe change this or add this. I know you about this part of your business, so maybe you should add that. Yeah. What do you think? Am I hitting the hammer
Yeah.
with?
It's
That's
a
what makes
different
it unique.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a new thing that I just came up with, and I was super nervous when I first started the masterminds, being the host and the I'm not a coach in the process. I'm just the mediator and, conducting and making sure everybody gets a chance to speak, and then also provide feedback within the same session. So I love those masterminds, and they tend to be smaller. I want to cap it at 15 max, because it's within the hour, you want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to share their challenges or their struggles, and then get the appropriate feedback from the collective wisdom of the group. And so it's different from the virtual networking sessions, where it's just like we have 30 plus participants every time, and it's new faces. But this mastermind initiative was designed to be more focused on the members who are part of the memberships that I offer, and provide them that extra value and that extra support that we need as women in business with our businesses. It always helps to tap into a group that you can just fall back on, and get some valuable, actionable strategies for your business, like in the office hours. I love to do that. That's my coaching setting.
Yeah. You don't have to have a coaching certificate, and people don't have to be coaches to give their how that message or whatever it is that we all are working, right? And that's why I do this, because there's mindset. Although I do mindset, that I go to the deep root and uncover patterns or whatever, but mindset is prevalent in everything that we do, and that's why I'm talking to you today as well. And that just to kind of wrap up a little bit about what we were talking here. You have 3 core values that we talked about in the past, and that's empowerment, authenticity, and community. And so talk a little bit about that, but do you kind of want to wrap up our conversation and how that comes into play in your networking group?
Yeah. So number one, empowerment is really at the heart of everything that we do at Professional Women's Meetup. I want to make that personal connection with each and every member who joins, by providing them with the tools and the resources and the knowledge that they need to support their growing business. I help primarily women in business, and so I offer those networking events, the masterminds, office hours, and even workshops and mastermind or master classes, really specific on certain topics that we're just delving into. And I'm super excited about the one you'll be hosting for the group, Liz. Thank you so much for doing that. Actually, do you mind? I want to flip this on you. Do you want to share a little bit about your upcoming masterclass? I haven't yet published it with the Professional Women's Meetup, but would love to have you share a little bit about what's to come with your masterclass.
Absolutely. The masterclass is coming, I think, June 18th. And it's going to be really around the 3 steps to, I forget the title of it, but it's going to be like success. And it's really getting people to understand the neuroscience behind success. Why are some people successful, and what holds other people back, and what are they doing right in their mindset that keeps them, recognizing failures and sort of, and kind of debunking the myths about personal development, right? Because we know that personal development programs, and a lot of people come to it because they've already been in personal development program, but there's still something missing. So I kind of fill that gap, really getting people to uncover they already have the skills and knowledge. So that's what we're going to talk about, is the neuroscience. I'm also going to dive into, because I think that's important, that once you understand the inner workings of the human mind and what's going on, and how you can organically switch certain things on in your mind, that's what's going to make you successful. Getting them to understand why it's uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with discomfort. We probably heard, Mary Forleo, I forget that other author. There's quite a few gurus out there who talk about, you've got to get uncomfortable before you get comfortable, or embrace the uncomfortableness, right? But I'll talk about what that actually is, so that people, I think people need to understand all these things. So then when they go, they'll go, that's why I'm doing it. That's the how to. And then of course, we'll wrap it up with, okay, so what are the changes you're going to make, and how are you going to make those changes? So thank you for
Amazing.
giving me that moment.
Of course, and I really appreciate, your contributions over the years. I mean, you're one of my founding VIP members since I began this whole initiative. I even remember that one time that you came to one of my events and you were the only one there. Do you remember that day?
That was funny. Like, I think I kept getting the emails, but I couldn't attend.
Yeah.
And then it happened to be Friday lunchtime or something. I thought, oh, I'm free. And then that's when you were telling me that you were changing things and how you were changing things. And I said, sign me up. Because I think I had a feel I wasn't going, well, because I felt it was, to be honest, I'm going to be transparent. I felt it was
Of course.
transactional. And so
Mhm.
when you said what you're changing it to and what your vision was for the future, I'm like, sign me up. And you have, in the last 2 years, definitely lived up to that vision. And I can see your growth and how you're growing the group, and what you're doing is so true. It's very authentic. It's personal. It is empowering. So I highly recommend that people check you out as well. And the website is there, prowomenmeet.com.
Mhm.
Tell people a little bit about, what to expect when they do connect with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really accessible anywhere. So if you want to reach out to me any which way possible, I'm on all the platforms, right? So LinkedIn, I even have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast as well, which I think my audience really appreciates. Those weekly podcast episodes where I like to shine the spotlights on my members, and we all each have our individual areas of expertise, and I really like to shine the light on the members and give them the spotlight, so that in the end of the day, that's what I like to do, is to spotlight your brand, your business, and get it in front of as many people as possible. And the network is grown so much over the years. I guess the biggest thing is the Facebook group. Now we're at 20,000 members inside that Facebook group alone. And so, as you know, Liz, like as a VIP member, you can go live inside of that group every week. And I went live inside the group this morning, just to touch base with everyone. I was on my morning walk, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do this.
Good for you. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you can connect with me any which way possible, whatever you feel the most comfortable with. You can check out the website, prowomenmeet.com. It's got everything there for you. We have a directory, so you can search members by their names, location, business, whatever it is that you're looking for, and you can connect with them straight there.
Yeah. And if it's okay, I'm going to do a little plug for myself, because we talked about fear of rejection. I don't belong. Nobody's going to listen to me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know how to fix this. If any of those things are coming up for you and you really want to network, but there's some fear, or you're stressed, or you just fight flight response, those symptoms come up, I've got my email there. But welcome to check out my website as well, lizjacoy.com. We can have a quick 30-minute conversation. I can maybe help you with one little thing, and if and then we can go from there. So both the listeners listening today, I highly recommend Toronto Professional Women. Come and check us out. Talk to Christine. She's got a number of different options for you to join our networking group. As she mentioned, in-person things. We've also got master classes, all sorts of wonderful things coming up in the near future as well. In the fall, I know you're already planning for the fall. So
I am.
yeah, check this out. And we're going to close today, and I want you to close for us by telling the listeners or the viewers 3 things that you want them to really keep in mind and to do, maybe a must do when they're networking.
Absolutely. So I say number one, be genuine and curious. Really just get into those conversations, even if it is small talk, and ask open-ended questions and learn about other people and their challenges and successes. It's really a mindset game. And, the more interactions you make and the more you engage, it's just going to really help other ways for you to understand how you can support and collaborate with others. Number two, I say offer value first, right? And so instead of thinking about what can I get out of this, and it's just focus on how can you add value to another person's life or business. And you could just it's really simple, really. You just offer advice, share a resource, or just introduce them to someone in your network that you think they should be connected with. Sometimes you get that, when you're talking to someone new, you're like, wow, they need to be connected with this other person. So just offer value and don't expect anything in return, which will really lay the foundation for that strong, genuine connection, that relationship that you're looking for. And number three, follow up and stay connected with people. I feel like this is often overlooked, as we talked about earlier. It's the real magic in networking is really about making those, first of all, those initial connections in the networking events, but make sure that you follow up, and make sure that you follow up in a personal way that really just references something very specific to that conversation that you had with that person, and just nurture those relationships and provide value, right? Like I said earlier, just give them whatever resources that you think they might need. And also what we're all about here too with Professional Women's Meetup is celebrating wins, because we all win.
Mhm.
And guess what? We need to celebrate those wins, as small as they are. Like, we need to celebrate those wins and celebrate them together as a community, right? And just be genuinely happy for other people when we see them succeeding, because ultimately we succeed together, right? And we need to work together to help lift each other up and build those long-lasting relationships. And it's not just about throwing, a business card in someone's face. It's by keeping those 3 principles that I just mentioned in mind, and it'll really enhance your networking efforts, but also in a very meaningful way, and creating those lasting connections, because you want them to last.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and shift your mindset, take the focus off you and put it on the other person. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christine, for joining me today. And I'm
Thank
going to see
you.
you again, I'm sure. So thank you. We'll have you back again. Thank
I'd
you.
love to. Yes. Thank you, Liz. I had so much fun. I'll have you back on my podcast too. We'll keep this
There you
going.
go. Absolutely. Yeah, fun. All right. Bye.
All right.